The warning arrives. The silence on Titan Defense Station shattered like glass when the long-range sensors screamed their warning. Commander Elena Rodriguez rushed to the command center, her boots echoing through the metal corridors of humanity's most advanced outpost. Outside the massive viewing windows, Saturn's golden rings sparkled in the distant sunlight, beautiful and peaceful. That peace was about to end forever. Lieutenant Jake Chen looked up from his communication console, his face pale with fear. "Commander, we're receiving a transmission from the outer detection grid. It's massive, bigger than anything we've ever seen." His fingers trembled as he worked the controls. The young officer had served on Titan Station for 3 years, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. Elena moved to the central display, watching as the tactical screen filled with red dots. Each dot represented an enemy ship, and there were hundreds of them. The invasion fleet stretched across space like a deadly constellation, moving toward human territory with deadly purpose. She counted quickly, then counted again, hoping she had made a mistake. 500 ships. The largest military force ever assembled in this sector of the galaxy. Dr. Marcus Webb hurried into the command center, his laboratory coat still stained with chemical burns from his latest experiment. The quantum physics engineer had been working on theoretical projects when the alarm sounded. His wild gray hair and thick glasses made him look like a mad scientist, but Elena knew his brilliant mind might be their only hope. "What's the situation, Commander?" he asked, pushing his glasses up his nose. "We're about to find out," Elena replied grimly. She nodded to Chen. "Open the channel, Lieutenant. Let's hear what they have to say." The ultimatum, the main screen, flickered to life, revealing a creature that made everyone in the command center step backward. Ambassador Vexitar of the Zephyrian Empire stood nearly 8 feet tall, his reptilian features twisted into what humans might mistake for a smile. His scaled skin gleamed green and gold under the harsh lighting of his ship's bridge. Behind him, dozens of similar beings worked at alien control panels, their movements quick and precise. Humans of the Titan Defense Station. Vexitar spoke in perfect English, his voice carrying the hiss of his species. "I am Ambassador Vexitar, speaking for the mighty Zephyrian Empire. You have exactly 24 of your Earth hours to surrender, completely and unconditionally." Elena stepped forward, her military training keeping her voice steady despite the fear in her heart. "Ambassador Vexitar, I am Commander Elena Rodriguez. We are a peaceful research station. We have no quarrel with your empire." The alien's laugh sounded like steam escaping from a broken pipe. "Peaceful? Your species has spread across 12 star systems in only 2 centuries. You build weapons that can destroy planets. You create technology that challenges the natural order of the universe." His eyes glowed with an inner fire. "The Zephyrian Empire has ruled this sector for 10,000 years. We will not allow young upstarts to threaten our dominance." Dr. Webb moved closer to Elena, whispering urgently in her ear. "Commander, our deep space scans show their fleet composition. They have battle cruisers, destroyers, and support ships that dwarf anything in human space. Their smallest vessel is twice the size of our largest defender." Elena's jaw tightened. Humanity had established colonies throughout the outer planets, but their military was designed for exploration and defense, not massive fleet battles. Titan Station protected the shipping lanes between Earth and the Jupiter colonies, but it was never meant to face an invasion force of this size. "What are your terms?" Elena asked, though she suspected she wouldn't like the answer. "Complete surrender of all human military vessels and technology," Vexitar replied without hesitation. "All human colonies will become protectorates of the Zephyrian Empire. Your people will serve as workers and researchers under our guidance. Refuse, and we will destroy every human installation in this system." The command center fell silent, except for the quiet hum of life support systems. Elena looked around at her crew. These were good people, scientists and engineers who had volunteered to serve on the frontier. They had families back on Earth, dreams for the future, hopes for humanity's expansion among the stars. She couldn't let those dreams die without a fight. Impossible odds, after Vexitar's transmission ended, Elena called an emergency meeting of all senior staff. The conference room had never felt so small as 12 people crowded around the tactical table. The holographic display showed the approaching Zephyrian fleet in terrifying detail. "Let's review our assets," Elena said, trying to keep despair out of her voice. "How many ships do we have available for defense?" Lieutenant Commander Sarah Park, the station's tactical officer, activated the friendly force display. 12 green dots appeared on the screen, looking pathetically small compared to the red tide approaching them. "We have 4 patrol corvettes, 3 heavy frigates, 2 destroyers, 2 supply ships, and the station's defensive grid. Total crew complement across all vessels, 840 personnel." "Their fleet?" Elena asked. 500 ships of various classes," Park replied. "Estimated crew complement over 200,000. Their technology appears more advanced than ours in several key areas, particularly shield generation and energy weapons." Dr. Webb studied the enemy formation through his thick glasses. His scientific mind was already working on the problem, approaching it like any other research challenge. "Their fleet moves in a very organized pattern. See how they maintain perfect formation? That suggests a highly centralized command structure. If we could disrupt their coordination—" "With what?" interrupted Chief Engineer Tom Bradley. "We don't have the firepower to scratch their paint, let alone win a battle. This isn't David and Goliath. This is David versus an entire army of giants." Elena understood the despair in her crew's voices, but she had been thinking about something Vextar had said. He mentioned that humans create technology that challenges the natural order. "Dr. Webb, what have you been working on in your quantum laboratory?" The physicist's eyes lit up with sudden excitement. "The quantum manipulation project. Commander, I've been experimenting with localized space-time distortions. The theory suggests we could alter the physical properties of matter and energy in specific regions of space." "In terms the rest of us can understand, please," Elena requested. Webb moved to the display controls, calling up his research data. "Imagine being able to make an asteroid as hard as diamond, or turn ordinary space debris into guided projectiles. We could manipulate gravitational fields, create temporary barriers, even redirect energy beams back at their sources." "Is the technology ready for deployment?" Elena asked. "Well, that's the problem," Webb admitted, his excitement dimming slightly. "I've only tested it on small scales in laboratory conditions. Using it in a real battle with this level of power requirements, it could work perfectly, or blow up half of Saturn's orbit." The room fell silent as everyone absorbed the implications. They were facing impossible odds with untested technology that might kill them faster than the enemy would. Elena stood and walked to the viewing port. Outside, Saturn's rings continued their ancient dance. Billions of particles of ice and rock, held in perfect orbital harmony by gravity and momentum. Suddenly an idea began forming in her mind. "The quantum discovery, Dr. Webb," Elena said slowly. "What if we didn't try to fight their fleet directly? What if we used Saturn itself as our weapon?" The physicist joined her at the viewing port, following her gaze to the magnificent ring system. "You mean turn the rings into projectiles? The mass involved would be enormous, but with quantum manipulation—" His voice trailed off as calculations ran through his head. "Explain it to the rest of us," demanded Chief Bradley. Webb turned back to the group, his scientific excitement overcoming his fear. "Saturn's rings contain billions of tons of ice and rock particles. They're already in motion, orbiting at tremendous speeds. If we could use quantum manipulation to alter their trajectories even slightly, we could turn them into a massive defensive barrier." Lieutenant Chen looked up from his communications station. "Sir, I'm receiving updates from our reconnaissance drones. The Zephyrian fleet is maintaining course and speed. They'll reach Saturn's orbit in 18 hours. Elena felt the weight of command settling on her shoulders. In 18 hours, she would either save humanity's presence in the outer system or watch it be destroyed. The decision couldn't be made by committee or committee discussion. It was her responsibility alone. "Dr. Webb, how long would you need to modify your quantum manipulation system for large-scale deployment?" 16 hours, if everything goes perfectly," he replied. "But Commander, I have to stress that this is completely theoretical. We don't know what the side effects might be." The side effect of doing nothing is certain destruction, Elena pointed out. At least this gives us a chance. She turned to address her entire staff. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to attempt something that has never been tried before. We're going to use quantum physics to turn Saturn's rings into the most massive defense system ever created. Dr. Webb will lead the technical team. Chief, Bradley, I need your engineers to help with the power requirements. Lieutenant Chen, prepare a message to Earth Command. Tell them what we're attempting and why. Human ingenuity. The next 16 hours transformed Titan Station into a hive of frantic activity. Dr. Webb's laboratory became the center of the universe as teams of engineers worked around the clock to scale up his quantum manipulation technology. The theoretical physics that had been confined to small experimental chambers now had to work across millions of cubic kilometers of space. Elena moved between work teams, offering encouragement and making decisions when technical problems arose. The human capacity for innovation under pressure never ceased to amaze her. Engineers found solutions to problems that didn't exist in any textbook. Technicians improvised connections between systems that were never designed to work together. Chief Bradley emerged from the engineering section, his uniform soaked with sweat and coolant fluid. Commander, we've rerouted power from everything except life support and essential systems. The quantum generators are online, but we're running at maximum capacity. One overload and we lose everything. How's Dr. Webb's progress? Elena asked. See for yourself, Bradley replied, gesturing toward the main laboratory. Elena found the physicist surrounded by holographic displays showing complex mathematical equations. His team of researchers worked at computer terminals, running simulations and calculations at superhuman speed. Webb looked up as she approached, his eyes bloodshot from lack of sleep but burning with determination. Commander, I think we can do it, he said breathlessly. The quantum field generators can create localized distortions in space-time. By positioning them at strategic points around Saturn's orbit, we can alter the gravitational fields affecting the ring particles. Elena studied the simulation display. It showed Saturn's rings reorganizing themselves into geometric patterns, creating corridors and barriers throughout the space around the planet. What kind of effects are we talking about? Ice particles the size of basketballs moving at 30 kilometers per second, Webb explained. That's more kinetic energy than most conventional weapons, but that's not the best part. We can also create gravitational anomalies that will confuse their navigation systems and disrupt their formations. Lieutenant Chen's voice crackled over the communication system. Commander, the Zephyrian fleet has reached the outer detection grid. They're 2 hours from Saturn orbit. Elena felt her heart rate increase, but her voice remained calm. All stations prepare for quantum field activation. Dr. Webb, are we ready? The physicist looked around at his team, receiving nods of confirmation from each researcher. As ready as we'll ever be, Commander. Initiating quantum field generators in 3, 2, 1 and now. First strike. The effect was immediate and spectacular. Around Saturn's orbit, space itself seemed to shimmer and bend as the quantum fields activated. The planet's rings, which had maintained their ancient patterns for millions of years, began to shift and reorganize. Particles that had never deviated from their orbital paths suddenly formed new configurations, creating geometric patterns visible even from Titan Station. Elena watched the tactical display as the Zephyrian fleet approached the outer edge of the quantum field. Ambassador Vextar's ships maintained their perfect formation, apparently unaware that the laws of physics were being rewritten around them. First contact with the quantum field in 30 seconds, reported Lieutenant Chen. Elena activated the station-wide communication system. All hands, this is the commander. We are about to engage an enemy force that outnumbers us 40-1. But we're not just fighting with ships and weapons. We're fighting with human creativity, human determination, and human refusal to surrender in the face of impossible odds. Today we show the galaxy what humanity is capable of. The lead elements of the Zephyrian fleet entered the quantum field, and chaos erupted across their formation. What had been empty space suddenly filled with high-velocity ice particles moving in impossible trajectories. The alien sensors designed to track conventional threats couldn't process the quantum-altered environment. Elena watched with grim satisfaction as the first Zephyrian ships found themselves bombarded by ice chunks moving faster than bullets. Their shields, designed to stop energy weapons and conventional projectiles, had never been tested against quantum-accelerated natural debris. Direct hits on multiple enemy vessels, reported Tactical Officer Park. Their formation is breaking apart. They're trying to retreat to a safe distance. But retreat was no longer an option. Dr. Webb's quantum fields had created a maze of gravitational anomalies throughout Saturn's orbital space. The Zephyrians found their navigation systems useless as space itself bent and twisted around them. Ships that tried to retreat discovered they were moving toward the planet instead of away from it. Alien confusion. Ambassador Vextar's face appeared on the main screen again, but this time his reptilian features showed confusion and anger instead of arrogant confidence. Behind him, the bridge of his flagship buzzed with panicked activity as his crew struggled to understand what was happening. "Humans," he hissed. "What sorcery is this? Our sensors show impossible readings. Space itself has become hostile to our vessels." Elena allowed herself a small smile. "Ambassador, you said that humans create technology that challenges the natural order. You were more right than you knew. What you're experiencing is quantum manipulation of local spacetime. Your ships are dealing with physics that your scientists probably haven't even theorized." "This is impossible," Vexatar roared. "No species has ever developed such technology." "No species except humans," Elena replied calmly. "We have a saying, Ambassador, necessity is the mother of invention. You gave us 24 hours to surrender or die. Instead, we used those hours to change the rules of the game." The tactical display showed the Zephyrian fleet in complete disarray. Ships that had maintained perfect formation for the entire journey now scattered in all directions, trying to escape the quantum-altered environment. Some vessels collided with ring particles that appeared without warning. Others found themselves caught in gravitational anomalies that bent their hulls like tin cans. Dr. Webb looked up from his control station, his face glowing with scientific triumph. "Commander, the quantum fields are stable and responding to our control inputs. We can maintain this effect indefinitely as long as our power holds out." "How long is indefinitely?" Elena asked. "With current power consumption approximately 6 hours," Chief Bradley reported from the engineering station. "After that, we'll need to shut down non-essential systems to continue." Elena nodded. 6 hours should be enough to convince the Zephyrians that continuing their attack would be futile. She opened a channel to the alien fleet commander. "Ambassador Vextar, as you can see, the situation has changed dramatically. Your overwhelming numerical advantage means nothing in an environment where the laws of physics work against you. I'm prepared to offer you a chance to withdraw your fleet and reconsider your position." The alien's eyes burned with frustrated rage. "You think your tricks will save you? The Zephyrian Empire commands resources beyond your imagination. We will adapt to your technology and return with countermeasures." "Maybe you will," Elena agreed. "But today, right now, your fleet is helpless and we hold all the advantages. How many of your ships are you willing to lose to prove a point?" The transmission ended abruptly as Vextar cut the connection. Elena could imagine the heated discussions taking place aboard the alien command ship. The Zephyrians had ruled this sector for 10,000 years by being the strongest force in space. Now they faced an enemy that didn't fight by conventional rules, and they didn't know how to respond. As Part 1 concluded, Elena realized that the real battle was just beginning. The Zephyrians would not give up easily, and humanity would need every ounce of creativity and determination to survive what came next. But for the first time since the crisis began, she felt a spark of hope. Humans had proven they could level the playing field using nothing but ingenuity and the refusal to accept defeat. The quantum gambit had succeeded beyond all expectations, but Elena knew that their ultimate survival would depend on what happened in the hours to come. Battle intensifies. 3 hours had passed since the quantum fields first activated, and the Zephyrian fleet was adapting faster than Elena had hoped. Ambassador Vextar's tactical officers had begun using short-range sensors and manual navigation to guide their ships through the chaotic environment. What had initially scattered them completely was now becoming a challenge they were learning to overcome. Commander Elena Rodriguez watched the tactical display with growing concern. Several enemy vessels had managed to form small attack groups, using their superior firepower to blast clear corridors through the ring debris. Their energy weapons, while less effective in the quantum-altered space, were still powerful enough to vaporize anything in their path. "Commander," Lieutenant Chen reported from his communication station, "I'm detecting coordinated movement from 3 Zephyrian battle groups. They're converging on our position from different vectors." Elena studied the enemy formations. The aliens were showing the tactical flexibility that had made them masters of this sector for millennia. Even confused and scattered, they remained dangerous opponents. "Dr. Webb, can we increase the intensity of the quantum fields?" The physicist looked up from his control station, exhaustion clear on his face. "Not without risking a complete system overload. We're already operating beyond theoretical safety limits. Push it any harder and we might tear a hole in space-time itself." Chief Bradley's voice crackled over the internal communication system. "Commander, I need to report a problem. Our power reserves are dropping faster than projected. The quantum generators are consuming energy at an exponential rate. At this rate, we have maybe 4 hours before we lose everything." Elena felt the weight of command pressing down on her shoulders. The quantum gambit had bought them time and confused the enemy, but it wasn't enough to win the battle. They needed something more, something the Zephyrians wouldn't expect. Tactical Officer Park suddenly looked up from her station with excitement. "Commander, I have an idea. What if we stopped thinking defensively and started thinking like humans?" "Mining miracle." "Explain," Elena said, moving to Park's station. "Look at this," Park said, calling up a tactical overlay of the Saturn system. "We've been treating this like a conventional space battle, but we're not in conventional space. We're in a mining and research sector. The asteroid mining ships in the outer system aren't warships, but they don't need to be." Elena began to understand. The mining vessels have industrial equipment designed to break apart asteroids and move massive amounts of material. "Exactly," Park continued with growing enthusiasm. "Plasma cutters, gravity manipulators, ore processors, and most importantly, they're designed to operate in debris fields and unstable gravitational environments. The quantum fields that are confusing the Zephyrians won't affect our mining ships nearly as much." Elena activated the communication system to reach the outer mining operations. "Mining Station Alpha, this is Titan Defense Command. I need to speak with Operations Manager Lisa Santos immediately." The response came within seconds. "Commander Rodriguez, this is Santos. We've been watching your light show from out here. Quite impressive, but we're wondering if you need us to evacuate the area." "Negative, Manager Santos. I need you to arm your mining vessels and prepare for combat operations." There was a long pause before Santos responded. "Commander, with respect, we're miners, not soldiers. Our ships are designed to crack rocks, not fight alien warships." "Manager Santos," Elena said firmly, "your plasma cutters can slice through asteroid material. Your gravity manipulators can move objects weighing thousands of tons. Your ore processors can reduce solid rock to component atoms. Tell me those aren't weapons." Another pause. Then Santos's voice returned with a note of understanding. "Commander, give us 30 minutes to reconfigure our systems. The asteroid miners are about to become the strangest warships in human space." While the mining ships prepared for their new role, Elena turned her attention to the approaching Zephyrian battle groups. The aliens had managed to clear 3 corridors through the quantum-altered ring system and were advancing steadily toward Titan Station. Dr. Webb had been monitoring the enemy approach while fine-tuning the quantum field controls. "Commander, I've been analyzing their ship movements. They're using a synchronized pulse system to clear the debris. If we could disrupt that synchronization—" "How?" Elena asked. "Communication jamming," suggested Lieutenant Chen. "If we can interfere with their coordination signals, they won't be able to maintain the pulse timing." Elena nodded. "Do it. Jam everything on their communication frequencies." Communication chaos. Chen worked frantically at his station, broadcasting interference signals across the entire electromagnetic spectrum. The effect on the Zephyrian fleet was immediate and dramatic. Ships that had been moving in perfect coordination suddenly found themselves out of sync with their formation partners. Elena watched with satisfaction as the lead battle groups synchronized. Pulses became chaotic and ineffective. Energy beams meant to clear debris paths instead interfered with each other, creating new obstacles instead of removing old ones. The aliens' advantage in firepower was being neutralized by their inability to coordinate their attacks. Mining vessels report ready for combat operations, Santos announced over the communication channel. We've never done anything like this before, but we're ready to try. Elena activated the tactical display to show the positions of both the mining ships and the approaching enemy forces. Manager Santos, you have 12 vessels equipped with industrial plasma cutters and gravity manipulators. I need you to use those tools to create the biggest mess possible in the path of the enemy. Formations. Understood, Commander. Asteroid miners, this is Santos. Today we're not mining rocks, we're mining alien warships. Use everything you've got. The mining ships moved into position with surprising speed and agility. These vessels spent their working lives navigating asteroid fields and unstable gravitational environments. The quantum-altered space around Saturn was challenging, but it was still less dangerous than some of the mining sites they worked regularly. Elena watched as the first mining ship, the Prospector's Dream, approached the lead Zephyrian battle group. The alien ship, still struggling with communication problems and debris interference, didn't recognize the threat until it was too late. The mining ship's plasma cutter, designed to slice through solid rock, lanced out at the nearest Zephyrian vessel. The alien ship's shields, calibrated to stop conventional energy weapons, proved completely inadequate against an industrial cutting tool operating at maximum power. The plasma beam carved through the enemy vessel's hull like a knife through butter. Direct hit, reported Tactical Officer Park. The Zephyrian ship is venting atmosphere and falling out of formation. But the mining ships were just getting started. The ore crusher used its gravity manipulators to grab chunks of debris and hurl them at enemy vessels with incredible force. The deep digger activated its ore processing beam, which had been designed to break down asteroid material at the molecular level. When the beam hit a Zephyrian ship, the vessel's hull began to dissolve like sugar in water. Quantum grid activation as the mining ships engaged the enemy forces. Dr. Webb made a discovery that would change the entire battle. While monitoring the quantum field generators, he noticed an unexpected resonance pattern developing between the multiple field projectors. Commander, he called out excitedly, I'm seeing something incredible. The quantum fields from different generators are beginning to synchronize. If I can enhance this effect, what would that accomplish? Elena asked, moving to his station. Instead of isolated pockets of altered spacetime, we could create a unified quantum grid covering the entire Saturn system. Every object in that grid would be subject to our control. We could make enemy projectiles miss their targets, redirect their energy beams, even alter the flight paths of their ships. Elena understood the implications immediately. You're talking about turning the entire battlefield into a weapon under human control. Exactly, Webb confirmed. But it would require channeling all our power reserves into the quantum generators. We'd have maybe 1 hour of operation before complete system shutdown. Elena looked around the command center at her exhausted but determined crew. They had already accomplished the impossible several times over. Now they were being asked to risk everything on one final gambit. Dr. Webb, activate the quantum grid. All ships, this is Commander Rodriguez. We're about to attempt something that will either win this battle decisively or destroy us all. Prepare for quantum grid activation. Webb's fingers danced across his control panel as he synchronized all the quantum field generators throughout the Saturn system. Energy readings spiked beyond all previous levels as the isolated fields began to merge and strengthen each other. The effect was visible even to the naked eye. Space around Saturn began to shimmer and bend as reality itself became malleable. The planet's rings, already reorganized by the quantum fields, now formed geometric patterns so complex they hurt to look at directly. Elena watched the tactical display as the quantum grid came online. Suddenly, every object in Saturn's orbital space was connected by invisible threads of altered physics. She could control the movement of ring particles with thought-level commands. She could redirect energy beams with a gesture. Most incredibly, she could influence the trajectory of enemy ships by manipulating the space-time around them. Alien retreat. The Zephyrian fleet's response to the quantum grid was immediate panic. Ships that had been advancing steadily toward Titan Station suddenly found themselves moving in random directions. Energy weapons fired at human targets curved away at impossible angles, striking empty space or even other Zephyrian vessels. Ambassador Vexitar's face appeared on the main screen again, his reptilian features twisted with frustrated rage and growing fear. "What have you done?" he demanded. "This level of space-time manipulation should be impossible." Elena smiled calmly. "Ambassador, you've been making the same mistake throughout this entire encounter. You keep assuming that humans will fight by the same rules as every other species you've conquered. We don't. When faced with impossible odds, we change the rules." On the tactical display, the remaining Zephyrian ships were in full retreat. The quantum grid made conventional navigation impossible, and their weapons were useless when Elena could redirect their shots with a thought. Ships that tried to escape found their course corrections turned into spirals that sent them deeper into the quantum maze. Dr. Webb looked up from his control station, sweat streaming down his face from the effort of maintaining the grid. "Commander, we can't keep this up much longer. The power drain is enormous and the quantum generators are showing stress fractures." Elena opened a communication channel to the retreating Zephyrian fleet. "Ambassador Vexitar, I'm prepared to offer you safe passage out of the Saturn system. If you withdraw immediately and permanently, continue this attack and we'll demonstrate just how creative humans can be with quantum physics." The alien commander's image flickered on the screen, his expression showing emotions that Elena couldn't quite interpret. After a long moment, he spoke. "Commander Rodriguez, in 10,000 years of conquest, the Zephyrian Empire has never encountered resistance like this. Your species fights with methods we cannot predict or counter." "That's because we're not just fighting for territory or resources," Elena replied. "We're fighting for the right to exist as free beings in this galaxy. That makes us more dangerous than any weapon." Vexitar was quiet for several seconds, then nodded slowly. "Perhaps the Empire has been hasty in its assessment of humanity. We withdraw our fleet, but this is not over. The galaxy will hear of what happened here today." New respect as the Zephyrian fleet retreated beyond the outer detection grid. Elena finally allowed herself to relax. The quantum grid was powering down safely, and the immediate threat had passed. But she knew that Vexitar was right. Word of humanity's victory would spread throughout the galaxy, and that would bring both opportunities and new challenges. Dr. Webb slumped in his chair, exhausted but triumphant. "Commander, we did it. We actually did it. We used theoretical physics to defeat a fleet that outnumbered us 40-1. Lieutenant Chen looked up from his communication station with a puzzled expression. "Commander, I'm receiving another transmission from the Zephyrian fleet, but it's not Ambassador Vexitar." Elena frowned. "Put it through." The main screen activated to show a different Zephyrian, this one wearing what appeared to be scientific rather than military insignia. "Commander Rodriguez, I am Chief Science Officer Crixtal of the Zephyrian Empire. I must speak with your Dr. Webb immediately." "I'm here," Webb said, moving into view of the camera. The alien scientist's eyes widened with what Elena recognized as intellectual excitement. "Dr. Webb, your quantum manipulation technology represents a breakthrough that our scientists have theorized but never achieved. The mathematical models alone must be extraordinary." Webb blinked in surprise. "You want to discuss the science? The Empire's policy toward humanity may need revision," Crixtal admitted. "Any species capable of such innovation might be more valuable as partners than as subjects. Would you be willing to share your research in exchange for Zephyrian technological knowledge?" Elena stepped forward. "Chief Science Officer Crixtal, humanity is always interested in peaceful scientific exchange, but it must be between equals, not conquerors and conquered." "Understood, Commander. I will convey your terms to the Imperial Council. Perhaps this encounter will mark the beginning of a new relationship between our species." Human legacy as the Communication ended and normal space returned to the Saturn system. Elena gathered her senior staff for a final debriefing. The command center that had been filled with panic and desperation just hours earlier now buzzed with quiet pride and amazement at what they had accomplished. "Ladies and gentlemen," Elena began, "today we proved something important about humanity. When faced with impossible odds, we don't surrender. We innovate, we adapt, we find ways to turn our weaknesses into strengths and our disadvantages into weapons." Dr. Webb nodded, still processing the scientific implications of what they had achieved. "The quantum manipulation technology we developed here will revolutionize human capabilities throughout the galaxy, mining operations, ship propulsion, even planetary defense systems. More importantly," added Chief Bradley, "we've shown that human creativity is our greatest weapon. The Zephyrians had superior numbers, better technology, and thousands of years of military experience, but they couldn't adapt to our way of thinking." Elena looked out at Saturn's rings, which were slowly returning to their natural orbital patterns as the quantum fields dissipated. "The galaxy just learned that humanity doesn't play by conventional rules. That knowledge will spread to other species, other potential threats. Some will see us as dangerous and try to eliminate us before we become too powerful. Others will want to ally with us to benefit from our innovative thinking.